How you doing? This is Don from Idle Tools. I am the Gun Muse. All right. I want to talk to you specifically about some attitude that is expressing itself since the ETH merge. And it's not new attitude, it's just attitude. Uh, you know, I'm trying to get across in my business style thinking to people who develop tools for the industry and say, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to need next in order to be successful doing what I do. And there's this knee-jerk reaction. But let's remember, we all got to remember things, and I remember this, and I wish I was quicker at remembering it when I get involved in one of these conversations where somebody, and because leftists who went to college have this tendency to take what they read, twist a few words, and start arguing about what you wish you had said in the way that they wish you had said it. Ever watch a troll rewrite your statements and then respond to the rewrite? They don't, not copy and paste, respond to the rewrite. They may copy the insert that gets made tiny, but then they reworded it. And we got a bunch of this going on in the Discord over here at Team Red Miner. And then you get the trolls jumping in and it's like, you keep saying TMR. Well, my autocorrect on my phone keeps saying TMR. I'm terrible at texting you, as some of you guys know. I'm blind in my right eye. Hopefully not for much longer. I do have a surgery coming up. They're going to pluck my eyeball out, do some kind of repair on the back end, and I am told that I will never need surgery again after that. Whatever this miracle surgery they're doing is going to be a miracle. But I want to get into my planning because if you're like me, you're planning too. And I always try to come at this from the perspective of somebody that's going to be starting out. See, for me, the crypto winter is a blessing where I am in business. Okay. For the guys who built up great big farms, this is a nightmare. They just got fired from their jobs. And if you don't have an alternate source of income already set up and ready to go, then you got fired from your job. You're not a happy person, and you're going to take it out on the rest of the world around you. Okay, hold on. Let me switch some cameras around here. Okay, so we're in the Discord. I'm over in Team Red Miner, and I'm trying to express where it is I'm going next. But of course, when I'm no different than Kearney 666 up in here, in that I'm very intelligent. I know what I'm thinking. I may have not have told you what I'm thinking when I make the next statement. So you only heard 1/10 of the conversation because 1/10 is all that came out of my mouth for everybody to audibly hear. All right. So it's much easier to do this in conversation and in expressed example because it's trying to be taken out of word of context. So what am I going to be doing next? Well, first let's look at what I've been doing. I started playing around with the ETH. Woohoo! 24 hours. I made a penny. We're not going to be playing around with ETH. Okay? Not now. I'm actually made more money shorting ETH on my trading account than I did, because it went from $60 down to $9, and I think it's back up to $11 last I looked. Thanks. But I following the Sonatech how-to for setting up your own Kaspa node. I did that, and to great success. We're looking at my one RX. Well, it's now more of them. I was just moving more of them over. Let's see. I went out and had to reset my 5700s because they keep crapping on ETH. I don't know why. And I'm using Team Red Miner, and that's one of the reasons I started asking. I don't know why it kept resetting. The GPUs kept getting reported dead. As you can see, cool as a cucumber things here. I'm running well, 1.4 gig. Hold on. We'll crank him up. We'll crank him up to an insane number here. Okay, so I'm running Kapow. Look, I don't need that much. Oh, wait a minute. I'm upping the core voltage because I'm overdoing the GPU clocks. All right, memory clock's down. I thought that was a memory clock I was going to do, but it's not. So save. All right. And we'll come back to that. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video was, so here is the Beta Explorer. Now, I've made a lot more in Kaspa than what this is showing. This is my new node following the Sonatex guide. I set this node up. It's been running for 24 hours. And I had a single RX 580 4 gigabyte motherboard. I've got 6 cards in it. It's got 8 slots on it, but I only got 6 cards because one, I broke a slot the other night playing around in the dark. It actually ripped a capacitor right off the motherboard. So I nullified it out and just don't use that slot because it was for the 12-volt power supply. I understand what I'm looking at, so I knew I could safely keep running the motherboard even though I ripped a capacitor off the top of the damn thing. That's why blind people shouldn't go out in the dark and work on their equipment. It's stupid. You break shit. All right. I know. I saw me do it. All right. But looky here. I got $4.54 in this in the last 24 hours. Off 6 RX 480 4 gigabyte cards. These things are $40 on eBay. And what I was trying to express, and you know what? I wonder if I can find it. It's somewhere over here in Hive. Let's go. You know, it's hard to get back. The Hive navigation system is always kind of somewhere in Hive. They've got all their statistics. Yeah. Was it in the stats page? No, it's not in the stats page. Anyway, I'm going to throw out slides. You can go in Hive, you'll find it. Somebody else quoted it to me the other day, so I'm not the only one who's seen it. But on Hive OS, 50% of the cards were RX 580s. So if 50% of your GPU mining right now, and you build the software that makes the best use of those cards, then you just scored big. Oh, wait. I can't mine Kaspa. Okay. Now, Son of a Tech on his live show the day after his live morning show showed us exactly where he reset all his rigs to running Kaspa on a single node and what he made in 24 hours off his farm. He went from mining ETH, making $100 a day to ETH being dead, to mining Kaspa, and he made $300. Okay. Why didn't he make that change earlier? Because conventional wisdom says you don't do that. Guys, you got to remember that conventional wisdom is nothing more than conventional rumor. And quite frankly, the laziness in all of us not to chase down what is real, what is not. And as I mentioned in the film before, and I'll probably mention this forever now, don't screw yourself listening to me. You know, when I say do your own research, I mean don't fuck yourself being a follower. This is your time, your money, your investment. I don't care if you call it a hobby to make yourself feel better because it's losing a little money. It's a cheap hobby. I'll blow, $50 a week on beer. I can't blow $50 a week on electricity to play around with something I'm enjoying playing around with. I'm enjoying speculating on. Okay. At the end of the day, Team Red Miner gets 2% of the $50 I'm blowing. So why do you care if I'm losing money? You're still getting the gross back. But we're not going to get the gross back from, over here. Have I switched off of that yet? I meant to switch off of that. I was about to do that. All right, so that's my mix rig where I'm slowly swapping out 580s for 5700s. All right, because the 5700s are more energy efficient, and I'm moving to solar. The DDR6 does not take brownouts as well as the DDR5 does. Okay, so this is another concern. But if I'm going to do an investment into lowering my energy bill, because I'm gonna be referencing ETH because that's where I did the math on it. It's $2,000 to get 100 mega hash going 24 hours a day. That's how much I've got to invest in solar. Never mind the fact that the minimal investment, the basic setup, cost me $6,000. Okay. But I just looked at that as sunk cost and said, okay, take that $6,000. If you don't know what sunk cost is, it's how the government screws you over on any funding project, right? Well, we bought the building for $30 million, but we're only going to budget what it costs us to staff it. We're going to ignore the fact that we spent $30 million. It's called sunk cost. We just don't pay attention to it. So let's ignore my sunk cost of $6,000 to build my solar and wind infrastructure. That's to get it started. To expand it, as I expand my farm, I needed to know how much power consumption I was going to use versus how much money I was going to make back. Okay, and on the ETH world, this is when ETH was worth more money. It was going to cost me 200. Well, I'm not even talking about profit coming back. It's going to cost me $2,000 to get 100 mega hash 24/7. All right, so whatever cards I've got to buy to reach that 100 mega hash, plus the infrastructure of the power to make it not cost me per kilowatt. Because the per kilowatt has exceeded 60, I get an 8%, I get an 8 cent per kilowatt rate on my bill. But then the government went through all these fees on top of it, and now when you average them all out, it comes out to 14 cents. I'm profitable, but not much. If I mine Ergo directly, can I pay the bill every day? Yes. Do I want to mine Ergo directly to make $3.50? No. That's not what I'm doing this for. Well, there's other reasons I'm doing this for. I actually intend on building my own coins. I intend on building my own blockchains. I intend on rebuilding some communication infrastructures that we've had in the past. Firebase software was software so good we used it ourselves. But we hit headstrong into a world that says, no, you'll do it my way. And I don't mean they say, hey, do it my way, or I'm not going to talk to you. They literally turned off infrastructure that should be open to anybody. I don't know, hosting companies and platforms where servers were set on fires. We're talking about union tactics from the 1930s used against some of my communication platforms. It's been a long fight. The crypto, if I'd have had crypto back when I owned my news company and we'd have put the news on a crypto chain, there's no way they could have shut us down. They wouldn't have been able to delete 250,000 articles about me. And I could have remained anonymous because the content would have stayed up. But because I was trying to stay anonymous at the time and just put content out, it wasn't a smart move. And as I said in the last video, and by 2006, I thought, wow, maybe I screwed up. And by 2010, wow, I definitely screwed up. I should have branded my face and name on everything, making it a personal attack against me and being able to stand up for my First Amendment rights instead of, you're a business, we don't want to do business with you, and we got the right to say no. It wasn't why they were saying no. They were trying to shut the speech up. For all the little trolls out there who think that, everybody's just trying to silence you, you don't know what being silenced is yet. You just don't. Because the Gun Muse magazine, when we ran the Gun Muse magazine, we didn't sell guns out of the Gun Muse magazine. We talked about the engineering and the wood and the collectability, and if I bought this, will I get my money back in 5 years? Because your average gun guy is not a toothless wonder out in the southwest swamps of Louisiana. Your average gun guy makes more than $80,000 a year and has a college education. I don't care what the news tells you. I know who spent money with me for 2 decades. Know your market, right? Know who you're talking to. That's why we had 26 million readers. And they couldn't shut us up because we were putting out good information they wanted to know. If I bought this, and put it in my closet, will it be worth what I spent on it? And now we're trying to apply this to graphic cards and GPUs and things like that. All right, so I got this sitting on, this is on the ETH gate. We're getting this off this. We're going over to my private Kaspa node, right? Kas. And you see where I played all these different versions of Kaspa. I try things because I don't leave it to somebody said, no, that doesn't work. As you can see, I now got four rigs on that flight sheet. Why? Because one little rig was making me money. So I'm going to throw them all out there. I'm still not able to duplicate Son of Tech's numbers. I'm about 1/5 his size. I'll be running somewhere just under 4 gigahash on the Kaspa on my node. And I'm betting and I'm estimating in my head, but he's somewhere probably around 16, 17 gigahash. So if I'm 1/5 the size of him, 1/4 the size, 1/5 the size, somewhere around there, he's probably around 20 gigahash. If I'm 1/5 his size, I would expect 1/5 the money, which spends $60 a day. I didn't make that. I made 4. I just showed you what I made. Well, I'm now throwing all the rigs at it. So there's a little bit of luck involved. We got it up and going. We're going to be playing with it a little bit more. But we got into this discussion. So we got into the Discord. Let me get back down to the Discord room. So we can have this discussion about why I wouldn't put the guy in charge of the software development team in charge of the company. And why I don't think they understand as software developers, they didn't buy my cards. They're not buying my electricity every month. They're spending my time making sure their stuff is running. When somebody walks into your Discord room because you built mining software to take 2%, you're taking 11% because you're taking 2% of gross. I got a sunk cost investment, money that's being thrown away. Those 4 rigs are almost 30 grand. Kearney didn't spend $30,000 to get his 2%. He didn't spend 1/50th of that with me to get his 2%. Show some respect. You're getting 2% off of money I'm investing simply by using your software. And I don't have a buyout option. Where's my... You think it's unfair? Fine. Charge me $300 for your software with updates, and I'll pay a flat fee to buy your software for life from a licensing fee. I'll buy it up front. Why? It's cheaper. If we go off of Son of Tech's example of $300 in one day, well, that's $6 a day. That means had Team Redminer been up and running on his, and he'd been using that for his software, and I know he's not. I don't even know which one he is using because I can't duplicate his 5700 hash. Excuse me. This 5700 hash rate. I can't duplicate it. He's getting 300 mega hash out of a 5700. And I'm only getting 200. Not even 200. Sorry, guys. It's winter. I'm starting to get a little bit of a flu. Yeah. So there's. That's not the right rig. Let me go to my 5700 rig. All right, so I'm getting 190s. With one card going wild, but that's a card issue, right? That's an actual hardware issue. But if you talk to anybody about it in text, they're like, oh, you just got crappy hardware. I mean, well, I know what the difference between a hardware issue and the ones that aren't having an issue. That's a hardware issue. I'll tear it down. I'm waiting for more cards to go down in price on eBay, and I'm going to buy cards to replace these cards. And then as I take them out, I'm going to clean them. And I'm going to pull some of the RX 580s out and take them out. And I'm going to take the 8 giggers, move them to where my 4 giggers are, and then sell my 4 giggers off. I've got a move forward here. I know what I'm going to do. He doesn't understand what we're going to do. That is what it is. So finally and Son of Tech told everybody, and he got kind of belligerent about it, but he's been sick too. Get hangry when you're tired and sick, right? He's like, look, I gave you the advice. I told you how to do it. Quit telling me it's not working for you when you're not doing what I told you, when I told you what I'm doing and how it's done. Okay, so I'm doing what he told us to do. I follow those things. The first time I read the how-to, which I am going to link down in the things below. If you want to ask him questions directly, go over to his locals page and sign up over there so that you can ask him questions from locals. There they got a cheap tipping process. But I wanted to get into some of these conversations here. All right. So immediately when Heavy Arms 1912 started talking, what cards you talking about, Polaris? I hadn't said anything about any cards. I was talking about what is the next algorithm Team Red Miner is looking at and why. Okay. And they wanted to twist that out of conversation. It's the reason I want to use the Team Red Miner is the Team Red Miner respects the AMD cards. And if you saw in the last video where we showed you using the video that I'm talking about was how to dual mine Ergo and Kaspa and why you shouldn't. Because you could make money with Ergo or you could make money with Kaspa, but you couldn't make money dual mining them. All right? And that's why you shouldn't. Because it just splits the baby. And Kearney's opposition, he states it loudly and clearly, there's no room left on the card to dual mine Ergo, and says, I don't know how many different ways to explain it. And the problem is we can't explain to him is mining directly to the coin is not how you always make the money. I run a channel here where I mine to the short. We get the coins in. I walk away from the rigs. It gets dumped into my exchange, into a short bot. And as more coins get dumped in there, that short bot is operating off of percentages of total coins I have. So it starts making bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger trades. And so I may only make $2 to $3 a day on that short bot. But I may lose 30 cents a day mining up the stuff that I made the $2, $3 a day from. All right. I bought my trading account at a discount with my electric. It's not complicated, but it's not A, B, C, D. Here's how it's done. I am never going to explain to somebody who can't count my change back at McDonald's properly how to go make money by using your brain, thinking ahead, and applying some patience to the problem. Patience. That's the word we're looking at here. Am I realizing $4 a day from Kaspa that I just showed you? No. I haven't sold it. It may go crashing down. Kaspa just yesterday announced that they are going to be in the MEX exchange, which I can tie to my 3 Combos trading bot. I pay a flat fee per year for that software. I pay $500 a year to use that software. I can put 3,000 bots on that thing. In other words, I can attach it to Gate.io, spec mine 1,500 different coins, and forget about them. If I can afford to spend $2,000 a month on electricity, and that's what my electric bill was in June, $2,300. If I can afford it, but then I make $10,000 at 10 cents at a time from 1,500 different bots, that's my business. The reason I want to use Team Red Miner is I've got some AMD cards, but I'm a realist. The 3090s that I bought run freaking hot. The wattage they use is higher than a 5700. And the reality is I can buy 4 5700s for the price of one 3090. And it only takes 2 5700s to do exactly what one 3090 does. Do I use an extra slot on the motherboard? Yes, I do. Am I using more power? No, I am not. I'm actually using less. I'm using less power. To get my 3090 up to 110 mega hash on ETH, I'm running 290, 300 watts. To do 110 mega hash on 257s, I'm only running 140 watts. Not even that sometimes. I don't know. Let's look at that. I love having these screens up here so I can just kind of flip to it and say, okay, what am I running here? 130 watts running 190 mega hash on my 5700s for the Kaspa. And they vary from card to card. All right. Now, be fair here. I'm not devolting these cards. I've increased the voltage because I increased the clock frequency to 1700, right? So I'm running 1700 GPU clock. And I would bet, so to start conserving some power, let's take the memory down. Okay. So I'm at 1.497. I'm at 15. I'm at 1.5 gigahash. All right. Just under 190s. We'll see if it drops a little bit. I think there was a sweet spot that I found in there. Who knows? It might go up because I missed something the other day. I always go back and double check. I don't go, oh, that's it. That's good. I'm always coming back here and playing. It's one of the reasons that made me appreciate the Team Red Miner for my AMD cards. It doesn't slam the power on. As I pointed out in the Ergo Kaspa dual mining video. I showed you when it powered right on, boom. Them things were hashing right away. No graphics card on the planet is designed to be slammed from 0 to 100% instantly. You are begging for chip failure. Okay. And me lowering. Let's wait till it gets done doing the fan adjustments. That's a weird thing. You make that voltage adjustments and the fans adjust. Oh, look, I went up. I lowered the memory clock and went up. All right. A little bit. Tiny optimization. Teeny, tiny. But I just optimized sitting here trying to make another point. So we're going to go back to Discord. What cards are you talking about the Polaris? Well, for my solar projects, and see, I get sidetracked. Did I mention Polaris? Polaris handles brownouts easy. So as my battery power dips, okay, what I'm doing with solar is I'm not turning around and doing what everybody else is doing with solar. I have a 12-volt battery. I have motherboards that run on pure 12-volt, the S37s. I got great videos on setting up the BIOSes on those. All I need is 12 volts, which allows me to run a server power supply and nothing else. Okay. Much cheaper power supply, much cheaper electric cost, all around lower cost of doing business. But I'd be a fool to take my wind power, which comes off the windmill in DC, charges up the battery, convert it to 220. There's a 30% loss when you do that conversion. 0.707 of peak. All right. Immutable fact of conversion since the 1950s. One of the very first things I learned in Navy electronics, 0.707 of peak. And once you learn 0.707 of peak, you can chase down all kinds of problems because people try to fudge it. And quite frankly, 0.707 peak is the conversion process. And if you're not getting it, something's wrong. If you're getting better than that, something's about to be really wrong because you're creating current where there shouldn't be any. 0.707 of peak is optimal, and it's just the way it works. And that's really getting down into the weeds of how chips talk to each other. But we're talking about the conversion process of DC to AC too. So we're going to go from DC. We're going to put up a peak voltage, and we're only going to get 70% of it as usable power. Okay. That's going to give us our sine wave out in 220. Then we're going to convert it from 220 back to DC, 12 volts DC. 15 feet away, because my solar station is 15 feet from my cards and my motherboards. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I turn around and use a battery bank that has enough capacity to run 12 volts directly off the battery bank? And when the windmills are running and the solar panels are charging and blah, 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 plus I got a grid backup, I say, you're not allowed to go below 11.5 or 11.3. I think 11.3 was as low as I could go all the way down to 11.1 on an RX 580. But on the 5700s, it was 11.4 I could fall down to before it started having problems. The card started having problems with it. And then the NVIDIAs, Go fuck yourself if you're not over 12 volts. That's where we're at. So I got to put switching units in. The way to compensate for that is to make sure that I always have more than 12 volts. To make sure I've got that, I've got to have more generation capacity than I got battery capacity so that I don't fall down below the capacity's level dropping, right? So the windmills will put out 15, 16 volts when they're running. So the one windmill I got in there puts out 10 kV, 10,000 kilowatts. All right. So that one windmill will run everything I got in there when the wind's running. But the wind ain't always blowing. I'm in a windy part of the country. The time when the wind is not blowing the most around here, middle of the day when the sun's shining. So what makes sense for me is a hybrid system. But I'm still going to have the ups and downs things, and we got to have these relay switches put in here for windmills, where it literally slams the voltage from one set, from a windmill being turned on to a windmill being turned off. And there's this microsecond delay in there, and it's a spike, and you've got to account for it. I've got to build filters for it. It's what it comes down to. Filters that don't exist anywhere else, because normally when you switch from one power to another in a home, it's just done once. But the way this is being set up to feed my farm, it could happen 15, 20 times a day. I'm begging to have card failures. All right. And I would like to, right now, it can happen 15 times a day on an RX 580. The card doesn't give a damn. Okay. The cheap Chinese S37 motherboards I bought, they don't give a damn. I can promise you that any chip that responds to 12 volts or any chip that responds to 5 volts or bigger, pretty damn hardy. The reason I know that, Motorola used to be one of my customers. They made some of the very first cell phones. When they went from 5 volt chips to 3 volt chips inside the cell phones, they started having issues trying to lower the voltage so that they could lower the consumptions on the batteries. You guys don't remember back in the 90s when your cell phone battery lasted maybe 25, 30 minutes. You recharged them, so you left them charged in all the time. The batteries freaking blew up on you. They swelled. You can do the same thing going to chasing this solar and wind in your farms. So what cards am I talking about? The Polarises. Okay, that was a card. But I'm talking in general. In order to find out whether or not I'm going to be able to use software that respects the turning on and turning off of voltages, and if somebody knows an NVIDIA mining software that ramps up slowly like the Team Red miner does, please tell me, because I haven't seen it. The ones that'll use the coin alt, they're dealing with kids who've got 1 or 2 graphics cards in their machine, and what they want to know is how much money can I make making mom and dad pay the electric bill while I go to school or while I go to bed at night. I got gray in my beard. The lines in my face are from ironing out the wrinkles in my life over the last 50 plus years. So I understand what's coming, and I'm trying to get ahead of it. But I'm dealing with people who don't think this way. All right. So they're changing the conversation. My 2070S rig feels disintegrated. I was saying that the Polaris and the 5700s are market entry right now. They're the cheapest GPUs you can buy that produce. On eBay, they're the dollar for dollar. And the 5700 is the best dollar for mega hash at right around, I'm thinking about $140 to $150 is the sweet spot, because for the last year and a half that I've been looking at and doing this research on this stuff, every card has been based on not the quality of the card, not its gaming potential, solely benefited off a mathematical logarithm of how many dollars that card will produce per day based on ETH hash rate. Whatever that card's hash rate is, That's what the card that and the market price for GPUs are. That's what that card costs. So when 3090s were $2,500 plus last year, that's because you paid $2,500 for it, and under a year you made $5,000 back. For those who've ever done the math, you got your money back on those 3090s, but not if you bought it in last October. There you got your ass hung. You didn't have enough time to get your money back. So at the end of the fiscal year, if you were paying $3,000 for 3090, you ain't made your money back yet. Okay? Now they're $800 on eBay. I saw a couple go for $600. That's respectable for a used graphics card. It's not a new graphics card. It is what it is. Then we got GrayDark. He's in there just trying to be a spammer. Well, then we can't continue mining that until Kaspa is released. Okay, so I was making money on my 4G rigs. Okay, the 4G rigs were actually making money on Ergo if I mined only Ergo. But you know how much money they made? What they cost? They broke even. A little bit better than even. When you talk about a 4 gig RG580 at $40 on eBay, they're very efficient on the power wattage. I mean, they're 80, 90 watts for 60 mega hash of Ergo. It's done for it was making 41 cents. Okay, what to mine says it's not. Reality of mining, it was. What I'm paying for electricity, and if I plug it into what to mine, it says it lost. Watch the Mine Ergo and Kaspa dual mining video, and I showed where I plugged it into what to mine. That's the theoretical math. That's not the reality math. You've got to do, like I said, don't screw yourself listening to me. Do your own thing. Know what you pay. Know what you're doing. The machine that I'm on right now, in theory, right now, running a 3090 guard in here, recording cameras, dual monitors, lights, plug-ins, USBs. Theory, 700 plus watts. The including my freaking 16 core processor, right? Just if I write down the theory of it, 700 plus watts. I got a machine down here that runs on battery. It tells me exactly what my current wattage pull is. It's 134 watts right now. Because I got a machine over here that tells me what my CPU usage is. It's 3%. Doing all this. I can hear my graphics card screaming because I forgot to turn my afterburner off when I turned off the miner. In all honesty, I think it burns less electricity in Windows mode mining than it's burning in the Linux flip over to Hive, which for the life of me I can't figure out why that is. So there's some benefits to. I always wondered about Windows miners. I just started doing a little bit of Windows mining when I moved the studio over. I'd done a little before and I hated it because basically I had to be out in the building out there to monitor it. Now I can just walk in here as I'm going to take a leak, getting up for a commercial. I can walk in here and double check on stuff and see what's going on, get drifted off into other things. I mean, having one monitor rig real close to you to see what's going on is not a bad thing. So this is where I do my testing, right? Because I test. Testing is not succeeding. Testing is literally failure after failure after failure to gain experience. Experience is what you get shortly after you need it. You can't start out with experience. No one does. We don't know till we don't know. But so when you guys go onto YouTube and you YouTube up a video and you're trying to find something, is the guy you're doing it actually looking at it, or did he go find somebody else's stuff and repeat it? Man, I watched some of the combined meeting talk the other day, and it's very apparent that a whole bunch of YouTubers out there that are in the mining hole are caught up in the environmentally friendly version of it and how much it's going to save the planet and carbon. Nothing to do with reality. Oh my God, EAT's going to quit and that power is going to go somewhere. It's going to, us turning off EAT saved the environment. We took down all the people making money. Well, that's what the liberals say all the time in government, right? If we just shut down these factories, they'll stop using electricity to make things. Do you see the stupidity of the argument before it starts? If you don't, go get your money back on your college degree. In the 1940s, coming out of the Depression, we built the Hoover Dam. There's green energy for you. It created 2,000 jobs. And if you watch the History Channel, they'll swear to God the Hoover Dam, by creating jobs, was one of the things that got us out of the recession. And without even thinking, cheap power that powered the Southwest for decades allowed other people to be innovative. Imagine if they'd have said, well, you're wasting electricity we're generating. We're going to shut it off. Business is always looking for cheaper energy. Always has been, is my point to that. Taxing and feeing it, making it so expensive that you don't want to use it, is not the same thing as making it effective to generate more capital. If it costs me $1 in electricity to go make $5 worth of money somewhere, and I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about anything. If I got it stamping widgets out on an assembly line, it's burning electricity. It's none, like, well, I don't like widgets, and I think making widgets is a waste of your time, power, and energy. Yeah, but the people buying my widgets don't. So when we're talking about using our electrical power to mine up the people paying money into the algorithms, that money just doesn't appear out of thin air. Somebody paid to get a product from you. You're the manufacturer of that product when you're mining crypto. You're getting paid to do the work and prove that you did the work. Proof of work. And then proof of useful work's coming. Which that's one of those things where people might take a bunch of their cards and start to being helpful. But that's not a new concept. God, that goes back to the Windows 3.1 days. Would you download this screensaver from NASA and let us borrow your computers to do some calculations? Apparently the math was wrong because the shuttle blew up. I'm just saying there's always a problem with the theory. Yeah. Remind me one day to tell you about how 2 asses blew up. Literally donkey asses blew up the space shuttle. You trace history, 2 donkeys, two horses' asses is the reason the space shuttle blew up on the launch pad. Interesting history side bit. Okay. So we got in here, and I want to get down in here to, you really, really don't get it. I don't get what? That giving somebody my money, my time, my effort, and a percentage of my gross, basically making him an uninvested partner in what I'm doing, and as I grow and get bigger, he gets more. What don't I get about that? That's the deal I agreed to. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't have to use them. I would like to use them because the tech they're selling is easier on my hardware. I don't want to have to replace the hardware. And I know that I need to get that 14-cent electrical cost out of the equation so that I can grow quickly, grow more fluidly, so that I can throw 15 rigs on spec mining operations that lose money every day, but the farm itself makes money every day. That's how you spec mine. I got one making $20. I got one losing $5. So I'm making $15 every day, and the one losing $5 suddenly hits. I made $5,000. And all them coins I mined up for months, do that. See, so we got GrayDark here. Oh, I missed that comment. How's the weather today in southern New Mexico? See, that's somebody that's one of my trolls, is what that is. If you know where I live, you've been following me for years. So that's that. Kearney got sidetracked by me repeating his pennies comment because he's trying to swear he didn't say it because it sounds bad. Now, I really do apologize for throwing it out there. The point wasn't to drag him down, although he needs to be knocked down a few pegs. He doesn't understand his position in this chain of events. He thinks he is in charge. Of what? Well, it's on our to-do list. Can I see the to-do list? What's in front of that? The one I'm making money on right now? What do you think, as a developer of this software, is more important than what is making me money today? It's not a lot to ask. You're wanting 2% of my company. Can I please get your opinion on what it is you think I'm going to be doing for you in the future? What does Team Red Miner, what does Kearney 666 believe is better than Kaspa? Because Kaspa ain't at the top of the list. And for all those people that are joining the Team Red Miner forums in today's and seeing this stuff where they ask for the Kaspa things, we've been asking for it since before Ton. Ton came and went. And people asked for Kaspa. And if you'd have been mining Kaspa, and I kind of was waiting, it's on our to-do list 6 months ago, 7 months ago. It was on their to-do list then. And I kind of waited. Now I don't have the patience because I can't see the to-do list. And I don't think he realizes you're still using the same phrase. I'll get to it eventually. And this is where we got into this is where you can't argue, you can't debate a liar. You just got to duel him. All right, so we got to ignore Dart. He just proved himself out to be one of the trolls. Actually, I did twist on him at one point. Okay, so we got somebody else coming in here, and it might be, hang on, where I say, I do get it. He says, you don't, though. The decision isn't a yes or a no. It's a prioritization. What did I just say? What is ahead of the one making money right now? Justify the prioritization. All I really wanted to hear, we don't think that's a good investment of our time for making money for us. What do they think is going to make them more money by doing it first? Because whatever that is going to make me more money. What did I miss? What did I fail to see that they're seeing that's going to have me using their software to make more money for me and more money for them? At no point in this conversation was that ever, they won't even go to the answering the question. And I will guarantee you, GrayDark here, I already know which troll that is. If he is the troll I think he is, he whispered the living shit out of everybody that talked to me in that forum. Guarantee it. Oh my God. And starts to drum up, because part of his game on the gaming side, he drums up a hate crowd. Because there's lazy kids who it's easy to hate on things, right? It's easier to hate than to learn and explore and expand. Why not hate? Him being a hater doesn't make me money, doesn't lose me money. Team Red Miner not telling me what their list of prioritizations doesn't make me money because they won't tell me what I should be researching to see what's coming next. And it doesn't lose me any money because I can't use them. The only one losing money by hiding is Team Red Miner. That's it. It's the only people losing money on this. I'm trying to explain, I think it's stupid to lose this money. Can you just give me a list of prioritization? If it's number 5 on the list, what are the 4 better prospects you see? What am I not seeing? What are the rest of us not seeing? Quite frankly, it's his software. Does he see a coin that he thinks is his personal pet project? Is he working on logarithms for his buddies who are developing coins? I, as a business person, need to know that. And that's where I start to get, the crazy starts to come out. Why are you hiding what you're doing next? You get a percentage of all the money I've bought and invested, you're getting a percentage of it. Why are you hiding from me what I'm going to be doing next week, next month, next year? What do you think I'm going to do to make you money? This is why people who are in IT or software development, they're not very business minded. They're goal orientated, but they don't let anything come from the sides. And that's just not business. Business, all kinds of shit's coming from the sides. I didn't expect in June to be hit with a whole crap load of fees, taking my electric rate from 8 cents to 14 cents. That's not my negotiated rate. My rate's still 8 cents on my bill, but here's a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to call a fee and not a rate. Pay this that, or we'll churn you off. Okay, so now it's effectively 14 cents a kilowatt. I didn't plan for that. I didn't get warned of that. It just showed up. And I think Son of the Tech had the same thing happen in Texas. I'm in a different state than he is. But we operate out of the Excel power grid that comes out of Texas. So I got hit with those fees the same way he did. I was very public about it. I snapshotted a copy of my electric bill, said, check this out, from $900 to $2,300 in 1 month. It wasn't because it was hot outside. It wasn't because the price of oil and gas went up. It was when you start putting all these pieces together, and ETH and the marketing and the coin magazines and the online RSS feeds you guys look and read through, start compiling all that information up, and suddenly you start seeing an agenda. Okay? We're building a bridge, but a bridge to where? Well, ETH proof of stake is going to save 99% on the electric bill. Meanwhile, they're going to drive out all the competition in the meanwhile. We were overpaid for our ETH. And the people who bought in an investment in ETH, who bought ETH, didn't mine it up, were overpaying for it. The value wasn't there. I looked at it and I went, no. If I'd have thought spending $50,000 on ETH was going to make me money, I'd have spent $50,000 on ETH. I wouldn't have spent $50,000 on a farm. Okay, reality there. I looked at both sides. I do both sides. I play a little bit of investment stuff. I play a little bit of the farming stuff. The farms help me trade. Honestly, the ups and downs, the dips, having both is really the way to go. When one's up, the other's down. Sometimes they're both up together, but I have never seen them both down together because I'm not trying to pull money out every day. All right, I don't have to pay the electric bill at the end of the month. I can afford that. This is a hobby, right? My hobby costs me a few $1,000s a month. What do you want me to do about it? You know who doesn't like that like me saying that? The IRS. No, that's a job. Really? What is your Ethereum payment address over at the IRS? Well, we don't have one of those. Then I guess it's not money. What's your Bitcoin address over there? Oh, we don't have one of those either. I guess that's not money. Because it's not. And what they don't tell you in those magazines and news, where they're feeding you all this other stuff, where they built up all these farms and rigs and sold a bunch of crap out of China at exorbitant, overly inflated prices. Sold $3,000 3090s that only cost $115 to build. And weren't even built well. I mean, what's the very first video that you go watch after you buy a 3090? How to replace them cotton-ass freaking thermal pads on something that gets as hot as a 3090 gets. For $3,000, you couldn't do it right the first time? I got to go buy an $80 steel plate because you're using carbide that doesn't transfer any heat? Come on. This ain't hard. They're not meeting the market demand. They're making a product for who? It was priced in on how much money it would make back. And they literally priced it in even with their crap quality not suited to do the job at where they priced it. They didn't price NVIDIA 39ers at what a gamer would get out of it. They did not. I got 3090s in this rig so I can film. Hey, they're great for filming. I love them. I run a NVIDIA Studio driver. I don't even run a regular NVIDIA driver. And I don't even know how that affects mining on Windows. It may be, because the mining software for Windows usually runs off the game graphics driver, the gaming drivers. But in this Windows setup, I run a studio driver. It's literally designed to process video. The and I don't mean like shooting video. Any graphics games card will do that. You know, they're all designed to do that. That's not even hard. It's when you have to turn around and convert it to 4K for upload, like I'm gonna have to do here with this one. All right, so I had to go in there and explain what's the next 5 algorithms coming online. So it wasn't bitching that I was trying to get done here. I mean, it sounds like I'm bitching. I mean, I am. I'm bitching about them bitching is what I'm bitching about. Some bitches. Because they want to twist the words and argue against the words they twisted. I can't help that. They're literally arguing with themselves, but because people don't read everything, it is done in what I call troll speak. Trolls are excellent at taking something out of context in the first sentence and then spending the rest of the paragraph arguing with what they took out of context or twisted. Why? People only read the headlines. Oh, you wrote a paragraph on that? They're not reading it all. Those big long paragraphs with my name on them, 5 to 8% of the people read that whole paragraph. 5 to 8%. I've known this for 30 years. It is what it is. But go back and argue with what I said last time when I turned around and I explained it out thoroughly to make sure you didn't know. All right. So and I mean, I had to turn around. So that's 2 times you redefined what I said to make a backhanded comment. You're either reading me wrong or planning to cause an issue. I can't tell via the tone of the text. That's the problem with text, right? I can't tell the tone. Are you trying to be a smartass? Are you joking with me? You know, once you bust them on being a complete douchebag, it's always a joke, right? Oh, I'm just being a comedian. You finally won the argument, so now I was a comedian. Why didn't you get my joke? No, I'm not there for your entertainment. And you pay them when you produce. Okay, so he answers. I'm avoiding your question about what is next and why. I'm not a developer. So he avoided the question again. So he's arguing on behalf of the developers. I don't know who this guy is. Uh, hey, did you go over here in the Discord channel and link where they wrote it down and I missed it to prove me wrong? No. No one did that. No one's done that. Kearney666 goes, shit, that's not an unreasonable question. Yeah, we're working on X, Y, and Z, and here's why. No. He got his feelings hurt. I'm supposed to, and this is where I read ahead here. I speed read, guys, so sometimes I skip words. I say I speed read, but you got to be careful with that because you jump over things. Your brain fills in things that your eyes didn't actually look at. Both GitHub and Discord have search features, though. Okay, I can guarantee you I could waste my time over on GitHub, and there's no to-do list on GitHub either yet. I will go double check just because that's me. I double check everything. And you pay them when you use the product. No, I pay them after I bought a motherboard, a power supply, an air conditioning, electricity, freaking and a graphics card. Then I download and pay them. I have a significant investment before they make one gross dollar, and they're not involved in my investment. If you can't tell me what you're doing next, you know, I don't even like, and I'm not going to poo-poo them just to poo-poo them, but I'll give one of the, I mean, I don't like the SRB multi-miner. I don't like the way, I don't like the interface to it. There's a whole bunch about it I don't like. But they do throw a lot of altcoins at it really, really quick. None of them are optimized. But early on in a coin, I don't need optimization. Sometimes I just need to be part of it day one when you can grind up 50,000 coins in 3 hours with a power farm and then never go back to the coin again while they bring everybody else online because they go, crap, that guy's got a 51% attack us. I'm not. I'm just getting ahead of everybody else before the rate goes up. You know, before it becomes harder to mine it. I'm just going to grab me a whole bunch of solo blocks real quick. That's what I want to, and store it. And the minute that coin comes on the exchange, boom, I got all them coins I can go build a short block with. And then forget about it. It's constantly making me stuff that I don't spend a penny in electricity on. So I buy that electricity and that hardware one time. It's not the last time I'm going to make coins with that, even though if I'm not mining it. I mine to the short so that my short bots are constantly producing more of that coin, so that if these projects take years, my investment is a week and a half, 2 weeks worth of electricity. Sit back and wait. That's my strategy. It's working well. I went from one RX 580 last year to $35,000, and not one penny of that money came out of my checking account. I made it all doing exactly what I showed everybody did. Go back to the first videos where I was making $23 a day with two 580s. Try and do that today. Try and make 23 bucks a day with two 580s. I'm not making 23 bucks a day with the whole farm. We were just talking about $4 a day. Now that I turn those rigs on, I should be at $15 to $16 a day. But I'd like to figure out how Sonotech's getting up to what should be $60 a day. I can't duplicate what he's doing. But he knows more. He digs more. He gets deeper into the weeds, and he's been doing it a lot longer. He's been burned, I guarantee you, 1,000,000 times. He knows what to avoid. And by the time he tells somebody else about a project he's spending his time and money on, I'm fairly confident, having watched him for a little over a year, that I trust that even though he may be wrong, he doesn't mean to be. And I'll take the fall with him. I'm not blindly following him. Every time he puts out stuff, I start doing my own research on top of it. Okay, I see you talking about this. And he has to dumb it down for the average crowd. But I've got to be responsible for my electric bill. I can't burn $2,300, get nothing back. You know, it's one thing for a guy that has one or two cards and they don't even know their computer's on. It's a completely different story if you got tons of hardware invested in this. You expect the software guys to be a part of it. But it doesn't matter what company we're talking about. IT and software places, they got retrained after Y2K. For those who don't know, okay, so here's a fact of business. The first thing cut in Y2K, the IT department lost their jobs. Microsoft redid all its certification and training programs for all the software in Microsoft and basically trained IT guys how to keep their job. In other words, it doesn't always work perfectly without anybody looking over your shoulder. I had servers I deployed in 2003 I didn't see again until like 2010, 2011, when the hardware got so old, the new Linux kernel wouldn't work on the old dual-core AMD processors I had. I had some of the very first 64-bit dual-core AMD processors you could put in a server. $60,000 HP server. State of the art. Had 16 gig of DDR1 RAM in it. 60 grand out of my pocket for that server. I made my money back year after year after year after year. And I didn't need new equipment to go faster 7 years later. It's just the new security kernels and all the stuff, the way the world changed, wouldn't work on that piece of hardware anymore. I had to update due to the fact the software wouldn't talk to the hardware if I wanted to take advantage of new security protocols. And I did. But show me an IT or software department where somebody says, yeah, we haven't touched the equipment in here in 7 years. The reason I didn't touch it for 7 years, I didn't futz with it. And my job as a business owner is to be operating every day, not to be working on equipment every day. You can do this in the mining operation too, and I've caught myself doing it. You can tinker with crap that you shouldn't be tinkering with till you royally screw yourself. I've done it many, many, many times. That's one of the reasons I don't edit films. So if I'm doing it while I'm filming something, because I thought, well, I usually do a dry run before I go on film, and then if I when I do it on film, if I run into a problem that wasn't there, opportunity for all of us to learn. That's why I make long videos, right? Got to put this stuff up. All right, so they don't have any responsibility to you like they would to a customer who bought something from them. I buy something from them every day I'm using their software. Right now, I'm not using their software. I'm not buying from them. I'm literally over in Team Red Miners Discord because I want to pay them fucking money because I like the way they treat the cards and hardware. Because I, as a businessman, know I will buy less of it. I will spend less money making them more money. The more money I save, the bigger my farm gets, the more money they make next week when I spend my profits on more cards. If you don't get, you're the parasite off my investment, because at the end of the day, there's not one mining software that makes 1 penny more hash rate on ETH than the next one did. It was all about personal preference. My preference on Team Red Miner was how they treated the hardware. 99% of the people don't even understand that. And I know that when I'm going to have to spend $2,000 for 100 mega hash of hash rate to get that power number down, I got to recoup that cost. And if my power is browning out once in a while because I got a battery failing, or we're just bringing more rigs online, I haven't bought new battery capacity yet, those are real world problems that are going to happen. Those batteries are upwards of $2,500 per battery. You don't think I don't know that I might try to stretch out when I buy my next battery? Why wouldn't I do that? I know in my heart, in order to optimize profit, I'm going to wait buying a new battery longer than I probably should have waited. And then I'm going to have a bunch of hardware that I spent money on that I can't turn on, because then I got to turn around and make the $2,500 to buy that next battery. So I've wasted money twice. When you get ahead of yourself like that, because right now I've got cards out there that I can't plug in. If you've got that situation going on where you got cards that aren't plugged in, you got ahead of yourself. Okay. Learn from it. Learn how to not get in that position. Learn what needs to come next. And what needs to come next is, I need to get that power bill down. I want to at least get the power averaging down to sub 6 cents. What do I mean by that? Well, I don't need enough solar and wind to charge the whole farm. I just need enough to offset the 14 cent per kilowatt. So I want to get it sub 6 cents, because at sub 6 cents, even in this bearish winter market, I'll double every dollar I spend on electricity, I will double. And with the hardware going down because most people can't do what I'm doing, most people don't have buildings laying around their property that they can build a farm inside of. I do. I got extra pieces of property I can build more buildings on. And I'm sorry if you don't. It should be a goal of yours. You should be learning these things now, so that as you're growing with 1, 2, 5, 1 rack of cards in your house, to think that 1 rack of cards makes too much heat in one room, try 70 cards. There's no room. You're at that point, you're industrial electric. You're industrial on your electric, you're industrial on things. And then you watch like Bitsby Trippin, who has to negotiate. Once you go over a certain rate, you've got to go into specialized contracts with the electric company, because you're at a point where you need your own substation. Those great big power things wrapped up in a cage, Bitsby Trippin had to buy his own substation. You think if he doesn't buy his own substation, he's not going to get a better rate? But there's also a reality why he didn't turn around and just go build a whole bunch of solar panels. I'm telling you, the solar panel is kind of a wet dream. You can offset costs. You can't replace costs. And even if you're offsetting costs, you've got to scale to growth. Uh, it would have been better if I'd have done it last year, but my farm wasn't big enough last year to cover it. So I am where I am while I'm here. I'm not going to take money out of my pocket and buy solar. I'm damn sure not stupid enough to go out and tell the government, hey, why don't you give me a tax break, a tax credit, and put some solar on my roof? Because I know what the fine print of that clause is. They're going to own my ass. Trust me, when you owe the government money, and that's what that really is, guys, is you're going to owe them money. At any point in time they decide that you need to pay them, they're going to come for it. So I'm watching everybody in the software doing this stuff, and I just want to put this little kind of a rant thing out. I promised that we'd go back and look while I was ranting. And that thing is down again. Just time to, oh. See, this is what I hate. Oh my gosh. Sync. So 6 hours. I don't know when that went down, but it went down while we were doing the film, and I'm at an hour in the film, so less than an hour ago. I may have a power supply that's getting hot. I'll go swap out the power supply on that. But how would you know? Or I got that one card that was getting hot and I didn't pay attention, right? Hell, that says those things are still green, still going. But I changed that thing. So 56 minutes. So it went down pretty quickly. Here's a question. Power. Reboot. And you know what? I played around with some stuff, didn't I? Yeah, I took the memory down way low. Let's undo that. I have found you can take this memory a little too low in frequency. Let's save that. All right. I like doing this over on the all 5700 rack because then I move the things back over to here. Over here on the 5700s, I got a 600 core and a 900 memory. We're doing 153, so we can go 800 on the memory, 1700 on the core. But I got to take the core voltage up to 910. Apply. $800. And I may need to back down that core a little bit because I may have one card that's freaking out at 1700. 1750 is your max, and that's well within the 5 to 10% range. So 10% would be 170, a 1750. So it would be 16 and a quarter. I may have one card that freaks out. What I mean by the 10%, okay, I used to build the ion implanters, chips that build machines. The machines that build computer chips. You know, my customers were Intel and Motorola, and you know, I went and built the machines that built the computer chips. And when they test these chips, they get a waiver of compliance. If they waive 1%, they're called a first tier chip. And you will pay a lot more money for a first tier chip than you will any other chip. You have never bought a first tier chip on any computer device you have ever bought. The only people who get those, government, scientific contracts, and or people that are running competition grade stuff for the factories. MSI used to send me first grade parts. I couldn't afford them if I wanted to. They're 50% more than everything else on the market. You know, if a motherboard cost you $200 back then, that motherboard was going to cost you $450. Some insane number. If you wanted a first tier motherboard out of their that was part of the military grade division at that point. So apply. So we're up here on the upper echelon of this. And then boom, we just jumped to 184. We'll get that one to jump to. And let's see if that rebooted. Yeah, that rebooted. So it shut off the miner. Well, there's a good question. Do I got a target core temp? We're going to say 74. And target memory temp, I want to go to 92. Why am I doing that? The reason I'm doing that is to adjust where the throttle point is by percentages. So if I know it's at 92, I know as it approaches that, it's going to throttle itself internally. Sometimes the throttling causes more problems that cause a cascade failure. So I'm going to move that throttling point out just a little bit to see if my shutdown problem, because I haven't had any problems with this rig. It'd been running flawlessly until I started farting with the algorithms. Okay. And trying to maximize out the algorithms. This may be too much for what I'm doing out here, but I saw Son of a Tech get 300 megahash out of 5700s. What I didn't see was his mining software or his settings. My settings can't be too far off of his. He told us what his settings were in clock frequencies. He's running 1750. I can't get to 1750 reliably. And I don't know how many cards he tested on, but I'm testing on a bank of cards, right? So a different animal. And see, you see where this stuff is at 100%. And like I said, this is one of the things where I wanted to get in a Team Red miner that respects the AMD cards better. I trust that he's got respect for that. I do not trust that he has my best interest in heart at what's going to be mined next, because he won't tell me what that is. I also know that from a marketing standpoint, I've been doing this marketing for years, not keeping your customers informed is how you don't make money. I learned a long time ago, if I don't have it to sell to the customer that's looking me in the face, do yourself the courtesy of sending them to your competition. That would be the advice I would tell Team Red Miner right now. Every time somebody turned around, I would have it up there. I'd have a little announcement board pinned in the Ergo Casp dual mining hashtag thing, pin one topic up in there, and send them over to SRB Multi and put one comment underneath it. This is on our to-do list. For the meantime, SRB Multi works on AMD cards doing what you're asking to do. Done. Question answered. We'll get to it. We know you're interested in it. We acknowledge you are. As I was saying in one of those things, I've had a to-do list of stuff that's 4 years long. I don't have it to done. Because part of that to-do list is grab a damn software writer by his ears and beat the living crap out of him till he produces what he told me he was going to produce. I can't get my to-do list done because software writers in my world and in this world, and Team Red Miner don't work for me directly, and I may sound a little entitled because I pay out of pocket for software writers to do work. And when they don't get the work done, or they think they're so smart they're stringing me along, I don't want to hear about the to-do list that you told me about 7 months ago. You issued 25 updates on how you've improved Team Red Miner to work with the RR mode and other stuff. Not that that was bad. To lower it 0.1 volts. Not that that mattered. On whatever farm that doing 0.1 volts times all those cards mattered in total wattage, yeah, Team Red Miner went after the big fish, targeting RR mode. But that's not where the meat of the AMD market is. Over on Hive 50% of them are RX 580s. You want all 50% of the miners using your software on something. You're chasing the perfect, and you're never going to find it. I wish to God I could develop a Team Red Miner software. Just simply changing a little bit of their marketing, targeting the meat of the market out there. RX 580s, because that's all people could afford for the last 2 years to put in their computers. Do you not know that's why that's the meat of the market? No one could pay $3,000 for a gaming card. Not no one, but you get my drift. No one liked paying $500 for a 580. But hey, that's 2 weeks at McDonald's. I'll pull that one off. Right? Reality of the world. No one was going to save up. No one working at McDonald's was going to save up that wanted to go home and play video games while they worked their McDonald's job was going to go save up $3,000 for a graphics card. And then some idiots might have done that. But you get more chicks with a car, guys. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.